Welcome to the Sarah Scoop Show. It's time to get the scoop with Sarah.
I'm Larissa Wohl, and I'm the pet rescue expert on Hallmark Channel's Home and Family. We get to showcase 2 animals a day that need homes, and I get to bring amazing heartwarming stories and pet parent tips to everybody at home. It's the best job in the world. Oh yes, when I was a child, I wanted to be the famous, star on the red carpet. I think part of growing up in Los Angeles, you're surrounded by that glitz and glamour. And so it's hard to not see yourself in that when you're, kind of fantasizing about what you want to do when you grow up. And of course, my mom, who is amazing, was like, no, you are a sensitive soul. I am not putting you through that because rejection is tough. And I begged her, and we finally got headshots and did a few auditions. And I thought, okay, I don't like this anymore. So that dream was quickly squashed. And I'm glad she let me try it. And I'm glad I chose a different path. But I give a lot of props and respect to actors and actresses and anybody in the limelight on that level, because it is tough work. When I went to school for journalism, I thought, okay, next best thing, I'll be an entertainment reporter. I'll go to the red carpets, I'll interview the celebrities, it'll still be all the glitz and glamour, but I'll be kind of on the different side of it. Let me tell you, after doing about 25 red carpet interviews, or red carpets, I should say, and maybe getting a handful of interviews, you never want to do another one because you show up, you're there for hours, it's usually hot, you're eating on the ground. I would always pack my own lunch. It is not what you think it's going to be. And yeah, as I say, after doing a couple dozen of those, I was like, nope, I'll do something else. So you have to try those things to figure out what you like and what you don't like. I thought I'd be hobnobbing with Jennifer Aniston and Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie and all, Meryl Streep. No, that's not exactly as how it goes. But I still had fun every single time. But by the end of the night, when my feet were killing me and I was starving for a real meal, I thought, yeah, I got enough of these. I love what I do. I seriously do have my dream job. And that's what's so funny. You never know in life where little detours and steps are going to take you, because I've had many of them. And lo and behold, wound up here. So I wouldn't take any of it back. I mean, I'm very lucky. I was born nearby, but I basically grew up in Calabasas, and it was a totally different Calabasas than it is now. I mean, it was very small. Nobody had ever heard of it. Now it's kind of blossomed into a much more well-known city and very ritzy. I am lucky enough to live in the same house I grew up in, although it's been worked on a little bit and updated. And it's always been a very modest little home, and I absolutely love it. But let me tell you, you go up the hill 10 minutes or 5 minutes, and there are some ginormous homes that you just can't even believe are real. They're gorgeous. So it gives me something to work towards, inspiring. But I think I'm a long way off from that. But I love it out here. It's quiet. It's suburban. It's very family oriented. The dogs love having a little yard. I feel very blessed to be able to be here. Absolutely. It's a little far when it comes to driving most places. It's a little on the outskirts of almost everything. But in LA, you kind of get used to being in your car most of your life. So it's just part of the normal day. Looking back at kind of my journey to where I am right now, of course, as we mentioned, growing up, I thought being an actress would be super exciting and cool. And then I, decided that wasn't for me. And I was in school and kind of figuring out what I wanted to do. And I actually developed an intense love and passion for psychology, which I still have. I find the human brain fascinating. The way it works, the problems we, get ourselves into and how we work through them, and how other people's brains work, and how, the whole thing about it is so interesting to me. So I always thought I was going to be a psychologist. So I actually went to school for psychology. And then the last 2 years of schooling up in San Francisco, I decided to switch my major to television and radio. I decided I wanted to do radio. I loved radio. And so I did a few internships in radio and decided that wasn't for me. And I continued on with television news and journalism, kind of studying that and specializing in that. and editing and news writing. And I really liked it. I found a knack for it. Again, my thought was that I was going to come to LA and find a job like that and I'd be good for the rest of my life. And of course, that's not how things work. I came back home to LA, couldn't find a job for the life of me, ended up interning additional time. Even though I was done with school, it was kind of the only place I could get my foot in the door. So I was making no money. In fact, I had to enroll in classes at a local city college again, just to be able to be an intern. So it was one of those weird times in my life. But the people I met, the experiences I got to be a part of, the hands-on learning with amazing journalists and reporters that I adored and watched growing up. One specific was George Pinocchio. He works for the local ABC, and he is their longtime entertainment reporter. And he helped me grow so much in terms of writing and storytelling and talking to the guests that you're interviewing. And so I did that for a while. Then I ended up getting a few different news jobs and bouncing around. And then the last job that I had was in San Diego, and it was actually amazing. It was all fun stories. It was a show, but we worked at the news station, but it wasn't a news program. And then they decided to move all their operations to Phoenix. And I didn't want to go to Phoenix. And so I was back looking for a job. And lo and behold, my best friend, who's one of the EPs of Home and Family, said, come on over, we need a producer. And that's how that all came to be. And producing was never something I was really inclined to do. I mean, it was never my passion, but I fell in love with it. And then lo and behold, when they needed somebody to do more animal related content, I basically said, hey, use me. That's animals are my life. That's what I've done my entire life. Plus I've been on camera for years. So, I'm here. Sign me up. What can I do? My mom, she was an animal rescuer before it was a thing. Every animal that came by our street or, wandered in front of a car when we were driving by, she was like, well, let's scoop it up and take it home. She was, just had a heart of gold for the underdogs and the under kitties. And so we were always collecting animals. And I grew up with birds and cats, and we never had dogs actually, but we rescued many and then would find them a home or, figure out a rescue for them. And so it was always ingrained in me to stop for animals. I mean, we would have never thought to see an animal running on the side of the street loose and just to drive by. It wasn't even a thing. We stopped, we got out, we tried to corner the dog, we tried to bring it in the car, we tried to take it somewhere or call, if it had a tag on. And it was every so often on a weekend, she would just say, let's go down to the shelter. I think they have a bunny for adoption. Let's go meet it. And we would drive down, and lo and behold, someone would be walking in with 6 kittens, and she would say, stop, don't bring them in. We'll take them, put them in the car. So we were always intervening and taking animals in. And my poor dad was like, oh, here we go again, because he was not the animal lover. I mean, he liked them, but he didn't have that same obsession. And so I always grew up with a lot of animals around and just kind of always thinking about the animals. And when I started trying to think, I always, even back in college and city college, I was always volunteering at different animal organizations, nearby me or wherever I could. And when I moved away for news, I started volunteering at different shelters in all the different cities because I had a lot more time on my hands because I did morning shows. So I would be done at noon and then I'd have all afternoon. And then I started realizing how crazy the problems are that exist for animals all over the place. And so for my news job, I was always bringing them stories. We should cover this, we should do this, there's an amazing woman saving 80 animals, let's do a feature on her. And they always kind of laughed at me like, nobody cares about the animals. But I kind of became known as the animal reporter. So I would do that in almost every city as often as they would allow me to do animal stories. And then it just kind of grew from there. It always was my passion, the thing I spotlighted. And so again, when I moved back to LA, I was, fostering again because now I had a little bit more space. And I had my rescue dogs and I was trying to volunteer and do whatever I could. And then when Hallmark Channel said they wanted to do more animal content, it just was a match made in heaven. So it's always been a part of my life. I always turned to helping animals when I felt down, or when I was in a new city and didn't know anybody, or when I was stressed at the fact that I was waking up at 1 a.m. for this new job. And, it's very foreign working in news when you don't know anybody. And so, there were so many instances in my personal life where I kind of felt lost, and I would always immediately go and find an animal shelter to work at or volunteer at, because I just had a connection with animals, and it really gave me so much satisfaction and companionship, and I felt like I was helping them. So it just made, it was just a win-win. They don't judge you. They don't ask too much of you. They want to comfort you when you're having a bad day. They do silly things that make you laugh if you're stressed out or frustrated, and so you're distracted for a few minutes, which sometimes is all you need to kind of lift your spirits. So there are so many great ways that they help us. And being able to help them in return just brought me so much satisfaction. And I will say, seeing the state of shelters across the country and all the different cities I was in really opened my eyes to how much work the shelter system has to go. And they do their best. I'm not putting them down. They try. They're picking up the pieces of, irresponsible vet parents. And so it's not their fault, but man, there's a long way to get them up to speed to being better for the animals. And so I kind of felt like I've got the hours, I've got the desire. Most people don't. So I'm going to do it. And so it was kind of my daily, other than my actual job, I was at the shelter. Yeah, rescue organizations are all nonprofit. Shelters are usually government run, so they do get some government money. Rescue organizations are all donation based. And that's why I always remind people, even if you don't have the stomach to go work with the animals one-on-one, donate, volunteer, or you can even volunteer sometimes from home, writing bios for animals in the shelter, or going and taking photos of the animals if you are up for that challenge. And it's so much fun. And so, there's always something that you can do, or just spread the word and educate others about the importance of it. So, I know a lot of people get a little squeamish about going to shelters and rescues, and, they don't know if they can handle it, but there's still a lot that can be done. So many amazing things about being on Home and Family. I mean, I'd have to say, first and foremost, the people, because whether we're talking about on camera or off camera, we love each other. I mean, I know it's called Home and Family, and I know a lot of people on camera come off as close, and then you hear these stories of them backstage, not liking each other. I can assure you that is the farthest from the truth on Home and Family. We have such fun together. We laugh together. We have so many blooper moments. Plus the production crew, from our executive producer to our co-executive producers, to the camera guys, to the editors, to the producers, to the APs, to the interns, to the assistants, to everybody. It truly is a family. I mean, we have cultivated such an amazing group of people, and everybody's got a smile on their face. And let me tell you, 2 hours of content every day, almost year round, there's a lot of reasons not to smile, because it's hard. It's stressful. It's a rotating door. Sometimes your segments don't go how you want them to. Sometimes you flub your words when you've thought about what you wanted to say 28,000 times, and it's really annoying that it didn't come out right. I mean, sometimes the show runs out of time, and so your segment that was 8 minutes gets cut down to 5, and that's frustrating. There are a lot of things that happen just on any show or program or any job, to truth be told. But at the end of the day, the love that we have for each other, the support that we have for each other, the laughs that we all have, make it worthwhile. And I've got to say, there are a lot of men and women that work on Home and Family, from behind and in front of the cameras. But I have to say, there are a ton of really strong, powerful women that put together that show. And it is so inspiring and it is so wonderful. And not that I have anything against men, I love men too, but working on a show where there are so many women that have really come together to put their best ideas together and creative force in the world is really, really wonderful to be a part of. So I'm very honored. And I really do, that saying, the Sunday scaries, when Monday's coming, in a few hours and you're like, oh no, it's time for work. I don't have that. I have had that in the past, but at this job, it doesn't exist because every day really is a great day. Even, again, not to say we don't have our moments where we all get on each other's nerves or we're stressed or we feel like we have too much on our plate and, we need to go sit for a second and breathe. But it all comes together every day and we're all there to support each other. So it's wonderful. As you can tell, I miss it so much. We all do. I can't wait to get back. There are some funny moments. And I was thinking about this, we do kitchen segments where we're all sitting at the counter and we have the three of us or four of us up at the counter. If the camera's not on us, might giggle or something, and then the other person starts giggling, and then once two are going, everybody starts, and then realize you got to calm it down because we're still on camera. There are times like that. There was one time where Lauren Zarian, who I adore, who does all the fashion on the show, he was putting a necklace around me and it got so tangled in my hair, and he was trying so hard to make it look natural that the necklace wasn't stuck. And we were just trying our best to kind of untangle it as we talked, and it was pretty funny. And then obviously for me working with so many cats and dogs and kittens and puppies, that takes on another world, that takes on another, I don't know, set of skills that you really need to kind of learn as you go, because there's been many times where the dogs become really restless, or the cat suddenly turns around and wants to claw my face, and you got to roll with the punches and just keep going. Oh yeah, let me think. Oh yeah. Okay. So I've been starstruck many times from our show, and I try to be cool. I try to play it cool. I work here. I don't get flustered. I'm good. But there are a few times when people have come on where I have to, hold back. First and foremost, I would say there are many amazing Hallmark Channel actors, females, males that come on where I've either grown up watching them or I watch them currently. And, that's always exciting. And then there are a couple that have come on the show that were on TV shows that I truly, were obsessed with growing up. There was Brian Austin Green from 90210. We had Luke Perry. We had, I'm trying to think, not from a show, but Marissa Tomei came on. And Freddie Prinze Jr. I got to produce. And, those were all people, not Marissa Tomei, but the other three that were idols for me personally. Oh, Tiffany Amber Thiessen, who is so nice. And I always wanted to be Kelly Kapowski, who doesn't? And so seeing her in person was so exciting. So there are times when I have done the whole, do you mind if I get a photo with you? But I try my best to be very, very nonchalant and cool, but I do get starstruck. And there are so many, you're going to kill me because I can't think of the specific names right this second, but I will say in the past couple of years, they have come out with some really good Hallmark Channel movies that feature rescue dogs, and that has a theme of the movie. I think there was one at First Bark, and man, oh man, I wish I could remember all the names, but there are some really cute ones. And of course, if it has to do with rescue animals, I'm all in immediately. So those are always my favorite, but you can't not watch a Hallmark Channel movie and just smile. I mean, it doesn't matter what time of day, what season, you throw it on there and you're going to be happy. So there's so many that I've fallen in love with over the years, and I'm happy to just watch on repeat all over and over and over. I would love to be in a Hallmark Channel movie. I mean, who doesn't? It would really be a lot of fun. They're so picturesque. They're filmed in such beautiful locations. Cameron Matheson, who's our host, one of our hosts on Home and Family, did a lot of the movies. And every time he comes back, he has amazing stories and he sends wonderful photos. So yes, I would love to be in a Hallmark Channel movie. So listen up, everybody. One of these days, maybe. Yes, I do. I have a lot of personal favorite TV shows and movies. I'm a sucker. Well, during all this, I'm a sucker for anything that I don't really have to think about, because there's so much ugly going on in the world that I am happy to turn on Hallmark Channel or Bravo and just tune out and watch something silly. So I would say a lot of the Real Housewives I can easily put on and just tune out and do, other things at the same time. I'm also, strangely enough, which most people don't expect, I love true crime, like Dateline or some of the documentaries about true crime. I mean, and I think that goes back to my psychology days of kind of the brain being so fascinating. But most people, I love everything soft and squishy and fluffy and puppies and kittens, wouldn't expect that I also love true crime. And right now I'm watching Dirty John, the second season. It's very good. And my best friend who is over here just gave Maple a bath. So Maple's like not too happy right now. So Muppet, who's hiding upstairs, is a little white poodle. Actually, this is Muppet on the pillow. She was my first rescue of this bunch. And she came to me from a rescue called Hand and Paw here in Los Angeles. And she was so skinny because all her teeth were rotten and she couldn't eat. And so the poor thing was anemic and skinny and all her teeth were bad. And so as soon as the rescue was able to get her and posted her, I said, I need her. That dog is mine. So she got fixed up, all her teeth, most of her teeth came out, and she is thriving. And then the same rescue a couple months later, it's a little longer than that, maybe half a year later, posted Maple. And Maple had been in a home and was really scared, and the family didn't like how fearful she was. So they put her into rescue. The rescue found her a great home that was a foster home that was about to keep her, and then changed their mind last minute. So she came to my house as a foster and never left. So she became mine after a couple weeks. And then Piggly, who I said I would never foster again because I had been fostering and said, okay, I need a break. Saving Canine Lives Plus in Los Angeles posted a picture of little Piggly and said that she was in desperate need of a foster. She was an albino Maltipoo. She had some skin conditions they were working on. And I wrote and I said, if nobody else steps up to foster, reluctantly, I will foster for a couple weeks because I really don't need another foster at this moment in time. And weirdly enough, because most little white fluff dogs get adopted or fostered immediately, nobody stepped up to foster her. So Piggly came to my house, and after a couple weeks, I said, she's not leaving. Here's a donation, and she's happy here. We're keeping her. And so that's how it all came to be with the three. And they all get along. They all kind of do their own thing, and they have such distinctly different personalities, but they all coexist, and we have a little fun little group of misfits here. But what I get from them is way bigger. I couldn't imagine life without them, especially during this pandemic. If I was literally home in this beautiful house by myself with no living beings, I would go crazy. They have truly made such an impact. So I highly recommend everybody adopting, fostering, again, volunteering, whatever you can do. It changes your outlook on everything. I don't think people realize how distinctly different dogs, a dog from a dog from a dog, and same with cats can be. Just because you have one that acts a certain way, the second one might be totally different. And I can tell you, I know exactly what Muppet, Maple, and Piggly will do when something happens. A loud noise, one will run upstairs, Maple will hide here, Piggly will start barking. I mean, they all do different things in every scenario, but it's hysterical to watch that. You know, I love taking them out and about. I have a great shopping center down the street where there's a couple of restaurants and Starbucks, things like that. So I always try to take them. But it's funny because Maple, as we were talking about them being so different, Maple gets freaked out in the car. So oftentimes I won't put her in the car. We'll walk around, but I won't put her in the car because she just gets stressed. I've taken them to a few dog parks out here that I really like that are small and contained, and they want nothing to do with it. So, so they're not the best when it comes to socializing and taking them out and about. But some of my fosters, especially one that I have now, the Spaniel, loves it. So we've gone to Malibu, which obviously you can't beat Malibu. But you've got the dog, the dog beaches, you've got the shopping centers. There's so many people, there's so many dogs. So they love that. There's also Runyon Canyon, which is beautiful, and is the only, I think, I could be wrong on this, but the only off-leash dog park or dog canyon, dog, hike. So that's always fun to do if you have a dog that really likes that and is predictable and, isn't gonna do anything bad or get spooked or anything like that. But yeah, there's so much out here that you can do outdoors. And I'm happy to say that there are so many wonderful cities that are becoming so much more dog friendly and putting together places that are specifically for animals or for animals and their owners, which I love to see. They're popping up everywhere. The American Rescue Dog Show is such an honor to be a part of. It's been 3 years now. It went from one night to 2 nights. It ranks so high in the viewership, even higher than some other really well-known dog shows. So that's very exciting because obviously not because it's about us humans, it's about rescue dogs and rescue dogs only. You throw out the pedigrees and the really, highfalutin stuff that you see in some other shows, and it's about the best in Wigglebutt, the best in Couch Potato, the best Snorer. I mean, these are all fun, silly categories that celebrate the imperfections that all these rescue babies have. And so it is so exciting to be a part of. The filming process is a few days long. They're long days, but they are so fun. You get to interact with all the animals. There's a lot of celebrities that are part of it now, being, judging or doing different rounds or popping in to talk about their rescues. So it's a really exciting show. And again, it's been 3 years, and I hope for many, many, many more. And the winners go home with a really decent sized amount of money that goes to the rescue or the shelter that the animal came from. And it's also a show that celebrates the rescuers. I mean, these people that are on the front lines every single day in, helping save dogs from being on the freeway, to being in ditches, to being under construction sites, to being in the shelters that, on the euthanasia list. These are people that put everything aside, put all their money into this and sacrifice a lot. And so this show is not only for the animals, but it's a big thank you. It really does give them the recognition that they deserve. I mean, I do my part as much as I can, but let's be honest, the people who are really out there doing this day in and day out and saving these animals from bad situations are the ones that deserve the medals. So, again, it's a show that educates, inspires, and gives a major, major spotlight on the people that are behind the scenes in the rescue world. And it's amazing.
Thank you for watching The Sarah Scoop Show. Head to sarahscoop.com for more.